Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey chapter 286. It is the first day of the week, aka the Kamehameha workout. I'm feeling very good right now. I am looking very forward to this workout. But anyways, to the main subject matter for today. We were going to start a new series looking at the 7 virtues of, divinity, I guess is what I would call it, but this is the 7 virtues. Actually, last year I had the 7 deadly sins as each one as an episode, and then I did a tier list. So this year I decided to do the 7 virtues. So this one will be a little bit more structured than I did last time. So I think every Kamehameha will be this for a little while. So for this one, I wanted to talk first out of all of them, patience, because I've talked about it before in what I saw it showed at the beginning, 1, but 2 also because it is one of them, and I didn't realize that it was one of the 7 virtues. Hell, well, we can talk about this right now. I'm going to talk about this specific thing, and that is that never really talked about whenever talking about the 7 deadly sins. They always talk about like, oh, you shouldn't do them, but they never talk about the virtues, like the actual, like the keys that are given in order to, try to reverse each thing. It's more of a, just don't do that one that much, I didn't even know about it until I Googled it and I was like, oh, that's interesting. But for some reason, the other ones have been so popularized and so used by others that, for some reason the other side isn't good enough to show or tell people. It's just like, oh, don't worry about those. Don't use those in your regular life. Hell, when I Googled it, the AI told me what they were, but the first search result was a perfume. That should tell you basically everything that should be about this, which is kind of astonishing. But anyways, I wanted to start off with out of all 7 of the virtues, I wanted to start off with patience because I was very curious about it, but also looking at it from another perspective, as well as how I could have added more to the last video I did about it, because that one was within my own world, but looking at it from the outside, from my world out to the outside world, I wanted to do something along those lines, and that's what this episode is going to be about. But I just wanted to lay the forefront as to why I'm doing this and talk a little bit more about it. Another reason why I really wanted to do this actually is because of the fact that I started the good and evil series. So I started it and then I realized I need to talk about good at first, just in general. But like, at least I knew I did some things with the 7 deadly sins. So I wanted to do with the 7 virtues as well. So then that way you get a nice counterbalance between the 2. And these are just the general ideas, not necessarily getting into the morality of things and all that other stuff, because that is completely different. So that is something else. But I wanted to give this a little bit of a clear balance, so then that way when talking about good and evil I can call back to some of these episodes either way, because I was going to talk about good today, but that kind of fars away a little bit, because even when talking about good you have to look at good from multiple angles, and it's not even just one. I was just thinking about generally, but even talking about it generally is a tough one, because then again, who's good, and that's perspective. So we'll talk more about that another day. But for now, let's get to Mother Base.
All right, so on this day we started with dips, which were pretty good. But anyways, back to the main subject matter at hand, which is not a new subject matter at hand, patience. All the way back in episode 67, I believe. Yes, I had done an episode about patience, but this was early in the series, to the point where I'm looking back at this episode and I'm like, my God, I didn't really do anything with it. So patience, the main reason why I wanted to talk about it today is because it's one of the 7 heavenly virtues, because I have to look it up as heavenly virtues, because if you look up 7 virtues, a perfume line comes up, which is funny how that works, right? But anyways, that's a kind of a different subject for a different day. We'll get there when we get to the tier list. But anyways, patience as itself, looking at it, is something that a lot of people lack nowadays. I've talked about this, but I feel like it is something that you can easily grow. It is like a muscle. You can train it. I've talked about that before. I think looking at it from this perspective, because when looking at the virtues, they are trying to fight the sin that is going against it. And in this case, the sin in this case would be wrath out of all of them. Obviously, everything else would kind of fall into the patience cone, of course, but the particular one this has to deal with is wrath. And if you think about it, wrath would make the most sense, because realistically, when people have displays of wrath with them, they more likely than not instantly regret it. And if they would have just waited and let it play out a little bit more likely than not, the feeling of heat and or whatever wrathful vengeance they might have wanted may pass them, and thus they don't have to do something as extreme as they once were. So patience, I feel like, is something that it tempers that. Obviously, not everybody has it, nor is it easy to even develop. Hell, there are many things out in this world basically ready-made in order to prevent people from having patience. I mean, there are certain aspects of even here social media that I have to temper myself with, generally speaking, because I know that in general, even though I want this to work out and or be quicker than it is, I have to understand that having some patience with these things will grow and blossom into something better than having to try to force feed myself into something that isn't myself, really, and thus ending up probably getting to the point where people hate it. You could see this a lot in different things. One of the main things when it comes to patience, you have to exude some patience with whatever you're working on, in the sense that then it's truly what is yours rather than somebody else's, and or your wrathful vengeance will make it so you do these things in haste, and thus makes it so you either destroy something or turn it into something that you're not necessarily even proud of.
Patience itself is a great thing. I think personally, I'm a very patient person. I've talked about that. But I've also think that it's something that is undervalued nowadays. Obviously, it sucks because of the fact that we live in such a fast-paced society now, and everything is kind of hurry up, what have you done for me lately type of things. But also, I feel like the more you slow down and really just stop and obsess things and have patience with things, let things grow on its own, the better, in the sense, because then in a weird roundabout way, the slower and more patient you are with things, the faster they become as time progresses. And I know it's weird when thinking of it like that, but I've seen this happen multiple times where, because of things now just slowly streamlining themselves, and I was patient with the process, things like making videos like this have become much easier when I've been, working at it and slowly but surely refining the process. And I think that that's the main thing about patience, is really refining the processes that you're doing, and then as you slowly progress it forward and forward, with the knowing that by holding back all of the idealized finishes, that these things will become easier and easier. And you can even see this in weightlifting. Whenever I think of like this, I'm looking at myself sometimes where I'm looking at like my physique and I'm like, it's not where I want it to be. I want it to be there now. But I know that the more patient I am, the more I'm building, the more that when I cut down finally to whatever weight I want to get to, I'm going to be looking at something that I'm going to be more proud of than trying to put the pedal to the metal and try to get to the end goal now, versus trying to just get there slowly but surely, but get there with a little bit more of an effort to get to the end. So patience, although it sucks, it really does suck, it is a beautiful thing whenever you can use it to your advantage. And I think that everybody should try to at least flex that muscle every once in a while somewhere in their life, so then that way they can grow a little bit more so patient with other things, whether it be people, relationships, friends, or animals, children, it doesn't matter. It is one of the most useful virtues, I could say, because generally speaking, it's not necessarily one against one thing or another. You can pause for a second. You can slow down and just let things pass by. You don't need to be brain rotted all the time, or just everything needs to happen right now at this very second, because even though it seems as though the world is moving at a fast pace, in reality, people will wait around and stop and wait for things to happen if you just let it happen like that. And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercises not filmed, none. Exercises skipped. Also none. Got everything in, thankfully. I am ultra tired. I'm actually extremely tired, more so than normal, which we'll probably talk about tomorrow. But anyways, back to the main subject matter at hand here. Patience. And how it is one of the virtues. Now, I'm going to do what I did last time and rank all 7 of the of the virtues in one tier list, because of course this is the internet, we have to have tier lists for everything. But as well, just to kind of compare and contrast them, I think in general, patience is good. I don't think anybody can say that it's not good. I think everybody wants it. I think that it is one of those things that if you don't work on it, it will work you very hard. And you will have absolutely none of it. It's like a muscle, really. It really, truly is. It's not something for the faint of heart, and also it is not it's not for those who cannot stomach things easily. You have to have a certain mettle to you in order to be able to be patient with things. But when you are patient about things, things develop for you. Things work out for you more so than not. Of course, there are things that will have to go your way, but more likely than not, if you're patient on certain things, making sure that you are waiting for something, but also making sure that you're not just waiting, doing nothing, but waiting with a purpose, then the universe will most likely reward you for your patience. It just depends. But some people don't like that, especially nowadays where we live in a society where everything is instantaneous. I mean, literally, I can probably, if I really wanted to, I could probably just cobble all these videos together and throw them out and call it a day, which I could probably get away with, but I don't want to do that. That's me being impatient with the video scheduling and all that other stuff, and I don't think that's correct. I think that doing these things slowly and trying to give it time and make sure that it develops well is the only way to really do these types of things, because if you are impatient with things, you'll get things that will be either too early, which means it's too weak, or hollow and there's nothing inside. So anybody that looks underneath is surprised at the lack of depth that is there. And I think that the patience, it is a rare thing to have nowadays. It isn't necessarily the thing that is gone, but it is something that you have to develop. And there are things that are happening in the world that are making it so you lose patience a lot quicker. See short form content here. I can't even be like fucking around. I'm part of that, so I can't even be bullshitting about that. It's just the game I have to play, unfortunately, in order to get further advanced in this realm. But even then, I don't necessarily like that I'm contributing to the impatient nature of the world, because they have to get to the ideal right now. It's the insistence on speed and everything. There are certain things that you should be aware of being quick on, but it is as the more confidence that you grow in yourself, and especially having the patience in yourself to do things, you'll find that time really does slow down a lot. I've read that before, where the more efficient you are, the slower things actually go. And I know that sounds weird, but then you have to have the patience in order to make sure that the quality is up, and as well as the effort that you're doing is good, and then everything will slow down, so then that way you're not having to worry about anything, and thus giving you the time. But then you have to be patient with that slowing down of time. Now, of course, this is mental. It's not really physical. Time keeps going no matter what. So it's just all in your head. But 99% of the things that we talk about in this channel are in the mental. But with that being said, tell me what you think in the comments below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this one. This one isn't the first time I've talked about patience, but this one is more in a different context than I did before. Last time it was general, this time in a virtue. Please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments section down below. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions. I already said that. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. I will see you in the next one. Keep it heavy. Stay safe out there. Stay cool out there. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.